Welcome back to the program. South Sudan's President Salva Kiir has rejected opposition calls for him to resign as part of efforts to end a civil war. Speaking during a ceremony for his deceased Army Chief General James Mawood, he said the people who are fighting have unreasonable conditions to make peace. President Kiir accused anti-government groups of making unreasonable demands in peace talks. Despite several agreements and ceasefires, fighting has rumbled on in South Sudan with barely any break since it first erupted in 2013, just 2 years after independence, killing tens of thousands. The government and rebel groups signed the latest ceasefire in December in Addis Ababa, aiming to revive a pact reached in 2015, but the truce was violated within hours. Joining us now in the studio is an African Affairs analyst, Mr. Declan Ihekere. Glad you could join us.
Thank you so much.
Are calls from the opposition and the international community for President Salva Kiir to resign unreasonable?
To Mr. President of the South Sudan, it could sound unreasonable, but people like us who are interested in peace in South Sudan, considering the number of people that have been killed for past years, I think the call is very, very reasonable. If that is the antidote to peace, if that is the only thing that is necessary for peace to reign in South Sudan. You see, if he's very popular as a president, nothing stops him from resigning, and after the resolution of the problem, he also has right to contest election and win. So if that is the reasonable thing that needs to be done now, he shouldn't see it as an unreasonable call, but rather a welcome development to securing peace in South Sudan, bearing in mind that the call is coming from the opposition, coming from those he called rebel, coming from those who doesn't want peace to reign in his government, and I think he should take it that way.
Some people have likened what is happening in South Sudan to perhaps Syria and the call for the president of Syria, Assad, to resign. But let's take you back to the president's accusations. He said, quote, "They want me to sign the agreements and then step down immediately. Just imagine, what is my incentive in bringing peace if it is peace that I will bring and then I step aside? Nobody can do it. Bashar, that Sudanese president, Omar al-Bashir, didn't do it when we were fighting with them," end of quote.
If Bashar didn't do it, does not mean he cannot do it. You see, I think the problem we have in this part of the world, Africa, is that we have leaders who are insensitive to the plight of the people. I can assure you that amongst those that have died in the course of this struggle, I'm not sure any of his family member is involved. And if he's very sensitive, I want to tell you, he has every opportunity to just resign now, and if possible make a public announcement, "I'm resigning for peace to reign," and nobody is going to bar him from contesting the election if there's peace. You cannot rule a country when there's war every day, when people are being killed every day. It is not possible. If it's a popular candidate in South Sudan, I want to implore him, just the way he has been asked to just resign, to honorably do that. But you see, we have sit-tight syndrome in Africa leadership, where they feel that is the only way to survive. And that is why in this part of the world, hardly will you find a sitting president to resign. You will see even retired presidents wanting to come back to power, because that seat is very sweet to them.
And it's such a delicate situation. 2 years after independence, yet they've had ceasefires and then ceasefire agreements that nothing has really come to fruition. Apparently, they've also been calls for him to dissolve parliament. Do you think parliament can play a strong role with this call by the opposition?
Yes, you see, don't forget, South Sudan is a very rich country when it comes to the natural resources they are endowed with. So you are bound to have several power plays there, people wanting to also, benefit from the natural resources of the Commonwealth of South Sudan. And so everybody who helped in making sure that the independence of South Sudan came to fruition will always want to have special interest in what goes on there. And so I think at this point in time, what is necessary now is for dialogue, okay, and for people to also shield away the egocentric aspect of governance, and bring in the sense of service to humanity. I want to say that leadership should be to serve the people and not to serve self. And until we reach that understanding in Africa, we'll be having issues. I've said it time with that number. Until our leaders in this part of the world begin to see that the loss of a life of a citizen matters so much, then we'll still be getting in trouble.
With his body language, and that's President Salva Kiir right now, do you expect talks in May to go as planned, seeing that the recent one in December, was violated within hours?
I see more crises coming, but the crisis could only be resolved by the common understanding of the citizens of South Sudan. If they actually need peace, and they feel that the peace that they need now lies on the hand of the serving president for him to resign, I think there should be mass protest, revolution against him, asking him to step down and listen to what is going to be the outcome of the dialogue.
All right, we'd like to thank you so much, Mr. Declan Ihekere, for joining us on the program. French billionaire and industrialist Vincent Bolloré has been placed under formal investigation over the corruption of foreign public officials and complicity in corruption in West Africa. Mr. Bolloré, who has spent 2 days being questioned by French authorities, was allowed to leave after attending court. It is alleged that a subsidiary of the Bolloré Group undercharged 2 African presidents in Guinea and Togo for work on election campaigns. In return, the Bolloré Africa Logistics Company was given licenses to operate container ports in Conakry and Lomé. He, however, has denied any wrongdoing. For 7 years, in the Nile Delta village of Kaffa Zaida has been banned from growing rice, but like most Egyptian farming communities, it has shrugged off restrictions aimed at conserving water each year and planted the cash crop. Farmers in the village say this is about to change, with Ethiopia signaling that it may start filling the reservoir of its towering $4 billion Grand Renaissance Dam this year.
Rice farmers in the Nile River Delta have ignored planting restrictions aimed at conserving water for years, continuing to grow a medium grain variety of the crop that is prized around the Arab world. A decision thousands of kilometers to the south is about to change that. Far upstream, close to one of the sources of the Nile, Ethiopia is preparing to fill the reservoir behind its new $4 billion dam this year. This could have devastating consequences for farmers who have depended on the Nile for millennia to irrigate strategic crops for Egypt's 96 million people, expected to grow to 128 million by 2030. Authorities are finally tackling widespread illegal growing of the water-intensive rice crop, showing a sense of urgency that even climate change and rapid population growth has failed to foster.
Every year it becomes more strict. It is strictly forbidden to plant rice. Forbidden means forbidden.
Rice traders say the crackdown means Egypt will likely be a rice importer in 2019 after decades of being a major exporter.
Our village is large. It has 4,200 acres and a population of 700 to 800,000 people. It is a large village, 4,200 acres, and it is ready for rice planting. How can it be stopped from planting rice all those years? And if we plant, reports will be filed against us and we will be in jail.
50-year-old Reda Abdel Aziz says some of the people have become afraid to leave the village.
2 or 3 police cars used to come at night and arrest between 30 to 40 people. They knock on their doors and detain them. There is no water problem, as they say. They keep saying it uses up a lot of water, but every crop does.
Egypt has long considered the Nile its own, even though the river and its tributaries flow through 10 countries.
And that's the program at this time. Many thanks for watching. I'm Millicent Walker.